Welcome back, everybody. So this process has finished and you're supposed to get a output like this. Kali Linux took 3.1 gigabytes. Let's type in fdisk one more time, -l, and we see that it has created two partitions. No big deal there. That's supposed to go like that. So let's go ahead and clear the screen and start gparted one more time. Wait for it to start. Let's select SDB. Excellent. So there is the boot partition, there is the Kali Live and FAT32, and then we have 55 gigabytes of unallocated space. So we will format this to a different type of a partition. But let's first take a look at what the guide says. I believe they have instructed us to format it as ext3 instead of ext4. I suppose it's due to some compatibility issues or something of a kind. Even this is FAT16 instead of FAT32, but okay, no big deal there. Let's go back to their site and see what else do we have to do. So as far as the storage is concerned, as far as the live USB is concerned, that would literally be it as far as this guide says. And I have indeed tested this out. At this point of time, there is nothing else that you need to do. You can just literally plug your USB into your machine and set your physical machine to boot from a USB in BIOS. On Dell machines, because I have a Dell machine, you press F2 or F12 at boot time and you can select the boot options. On some other machines, on like Acer or HP, you use different keys, but no worries. Just reboot the machine and you will see the key like somewhere in the bottom right corner or in the bottom left corner. Somewhere at boot time you will see press this to enter setup or something of a kind. Anyway, so as I said, there is nothing else that you need to do. This is it. You now have a live USB. However, if you would like to have some persistent storage, well, that's another thing entirely. And let's go about things. So let's go ahead and find the guide for persistent storage. I just want you to be able to use it as a reference. So let's go. I'm just going to type it in here. Kali Linux USB live persistence. And is this? Yep, this is the one. So look. It says Kali Linux Live has two options in the default boot menu which enable persistence. So first of all, you have the live persistence and the live USB encrypted persistence. I would personally recommend that you just use the live USB persistence. You can go with the encrypted one as well, but that is completely your choice. So you know what? Let's go ahead and see how this works with the Lux encryption. However, you know, if you forget your key, if you don't use your USB for a while or something like that, and you forget your key, you will never again, and I mean never again, if you've selected a complicated enough and a long enough encryption key, you will never again be able to access that information. It will be lost to you, gone completely. So please keep that in mind, because when creating encrypted things, if you're going to use it, fine, no problems. If you're not going to use it and you're going to leave it standing somewhere, lying around somewhere, and forget the key and then lose all your data, think about it. Is it really worth it? Do you have anything on that USB stick that's that important that you absolutely need to encrypt it that much? Think about it. Just see if it's worth it at all. So let's go and see what the guide below says. Both guides are fairly similar and they function on very similar they function in a very similar concept. You just use a bit of a different partitioning. So alternatively, you can create Lux encrypted persistent storage area. This adds an extra layer of security. And the following example, Okay, so what does it say? We'll create a new partition to store persistent data and starting right above the second Kali Live partition and ending at 7 gigabytes. So you don't really need this, so we're just going to go ahead and skip that. Setup looks encryption in the new partition, put an ext3 file system on it, and create persistence.conf file on it. Okay, so this persistence.conf file, we will definitely need this, and we will need a Lux setup. So they have this command that you can, I'm pretty sure you cannot copy this or anything of a kind. So it's not gonna work the way you want it to work. That's why we're gonna have to do this ourselves. Down below, so we have crypto setup, and it says crypto setup looks open. Okay, so dev stb3 my USB, so that's the third partition. So we need to make a partition, open it up with Lux, and well, format it with Lux, then open it with Lux, then format it with ext3 file system, give it a label, and then we need to create this persistence conf file here. And then we need to go ahead and close it. Once it's closed, just reboot the machine, and the next time it boots, just select the live USB with persistence, live USB with persistence, encrypted live USB with persistence, and you will be prompted for a key. Now I can't really show this as I'm recording, so I'll see if I can use my cell phone camera to just record the screen as I boot, because keep in mind, when you boot a live version of Kali, you're going to encounter some problems. The very first problem that you will encounter is if you're working on multiple screens like I am. Yeah, live Kali is just not going to see them. So you can kiss that goodbye. This is primarily if you're using it on a laptop or a desktop machine. Somewhere it will not work with multiple monitor setups. Also, you might encounter some problems with Wi-Fi. That just means that you don't have the proper drivers installed. That is it. But for Wi-Fi USB adapters, you can go ahead and check out lectures 35 and 36. I do believe that I have explained it in great detail there, which one you can use that is practically guaranteed to work. Although there are other ones that are guaranteed to work as well. I just picked that one because it was cheap and it was supplied in great abundance on eBay. So let's begin, shall we? Okay, so that's gparted, and we're not gonna need gparted now. I just want to show you these things here. Okay, so what shall we do first? Type in fdisk space disk space -l. Okay, so it's SDB. fdisk space dev SDB. Open it up. Press N because we want to create a new one. It will be a primary partition. You can have 4 primary partitions. Partition number, so its default is 3 because look, we already have 1 and then we have 2, and since you can only have 4, it's 1 to 4, and we're going to go ahead and create a third one. So 3. First sector. Okay, the first sector is the last sector of SDB2. So you can see that this one and this one are pretty much the same. So it just, this one ends with 104. This is and ends with 103. So just the next one. That's fine. Just press enter. And now you can define the size. So it says last sector plus sectors or plus size. So look, you can basically, if you don't want to take your entire USB, you can type in plus and then say 10 G. That would be plus 10 gigabytes. Sorry, let me just go ahead and expand this. What is the problem now? Okay, sorry, it seems to have gotten stuck. So new primary 3, enter. Excellent. So now I can say like plus 10 G. That would be plus 10 gigabytes, and that would be the next partition. Or I could actually specify the amount of sectors I would like. but I would just like it to basically take the rest of available space. So this is the last possible sector that it can take, and this will be the occupied sectors there. Should be roughly around, I don't know, let's see, maybe 40 gigs, 50 gigs, something like that. Doesn't really matter, it's just going to take the rest of the space that's available. Just press enter and use the default one. It says using default value. Now press W to write, and okay, so warning, rereading the partition table, failed with error 16. Device or resource busy. The kernel still uses the old table. Okay, so let's go ahead and type in df space -h. STB2 is mounted. You mount dev STB2. I don't really want it. Okay, so let's go ahead and attempt this again. Default E. Hopefully it has loaded it. Part probe. Will you succeed? Unable to open. Okay, so we have successfully done that, if I'm not mistaken. F this space -L. Yep, we have. So we indeed have managed to format it. Well, not formatted, we have managed to partition it, and we have gotten that extra partition. So the next steps that we're going to need to do, I'm just going to go ahead and use a little bit of this guide here, because I honestly haven't used Lux. I haven't formatted anything with Lux in a really long time. Primarily because I didn't really need to format anything with Lux. You usually do it once when you install your system, and you don't do it like ever again, because there is no need. You're only going to encrypt your drives once, and that's it. You're never going to mess with them again. And that's exactly what I'm saying. So if you don't use them on a daily basis or something like that, that if you have a complex key, well, you're most likely going to have to say goodbye to your data at a certain point of time. Okay, so now I can just pretty much copy paste this command, because my partition is called SDB3. If yours is called differently, please change accordingly. Paste its crypto setup for both, verify password, Lux format. So we're just formatting this with Lux, and the partition is the device is SDP, and the partition is 3. Please verify that this is the device and that this is the partition, because yours might be different. It could be SDD3 or SDC3 or something of a kind. I don't know. Just check it. Most likely it will be the same, but check it anyway. Let's go ahead and press enter. Warning, it will overwrite the data, so yes. Command failed, invalid argument. Oh god, come on. Yes. Enter passphrase. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in test. Be very, very careful what you type in here. Once locked, once encrypted, if the password is complex enough, you will never again be able to decrypt it without a proper passphrase. So yeah, forget about if you saw anything in the movies, like when they break the encryption on the drives or something like that. It just doesn't happen. If the passphrase is complex enough, it doesn't matter how fast your computer is. You can use the Google Data Center and utilize all the processors and on all the graphics cards and GPUs and CPUs and whatever else you can think of, and you can generate billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of passwords and keys a second, but it would take you about 20 years to decrypt a good key. So yeah, imagine how long it would take like a regular PC to do it. Like, forget about it. That's one of the reasons, if I'm not mistaken, like in some countries where the authorities can hold the encrypted drives indefinitely, because it takes a ridiculous amount of time to decrypt them, and it's even questionable whether ever they will be decrypted because of the amount of resources that have to be devoted to such a task. Again, I repeat myself, I'm really sorry if I'm boring or something like that, but it's very important that you remember the passphrase, because you won't be able to come to me in the discussion section and say, hey, my passphrase doesn't work, so I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. It doesn't matter if I remote into your system or something like that. Completely irrelevant. There will be nothing, and I mean literally nothing, that I will be able to do about it. Please remember the passphrase if you are opting for this setup, or just type in something extremely simple that you will be able to remember. Anyway, enough of my paranoid chat here. Let's go ahead and do this. So, why is it called my USB? Have you made it? Let's just go. Okay. So you can let it be my USB. It's fine. So enter passphrase. What is the passphrase that you just typed in? There we go. We have managed to open it. If you fail this one that you typed in here and this one for this, they are exactly the same, so no worries there. And now we can go ahead and create this. We can format it, so just go ahead and format it with ext3 with label persistence, and this is the device that we will be formatting. This should take a while. I mean, it shouldn't take too long, but it's gonna take a while, definitely. Sorry, that's yeah. This is come on. I really hate it when, like, in the middle of this tutorial I get a waiting thing like this, and yeah. I have done some test runs without the encryption, so without the encryption everything seemed to have worked out just fine without any problems. The principle is exactly the same. All you need to do is create another partition. The only difference between this one and the one without encryption is basically the LUKS setup, so that the data would be encrypted. That's it. But it's not a bad idea, hey. I mean, it's a good concept to protect your information and all of that. But in any case, I am running out of time, and I don't think this is going to finish in any reasonable amount of time. At some point of time, I swear I'm going to get another computer, and I'm going to have Xen running as a virtualizer, which is going to work crazy fast, because it gives like 95% of native performance. Anyway, I'm going to bid you farewell here, and then we're going to continue in the follow-up tutorial. Before I leave, I sincerely hope that the guide that I have chosen is simple enough, and the setup is simple enough. If you would like me to create instructions for other distributions, as I have said, feel free to just let me know in the discussion section. Bye.